a trend because trends come and go, but this is what everybody's talking about now. We know we need better data. So, you know, the data that's in your database is the gasoline that fuels your campaigns. If it's dirty or watered down with missing or incomplete fields, we're not going to obviously be very effective. Sadly, the chances are that your marketing data is statistically pretty bad. So, so this is some additional statistics, and it's really just to paint the picture that a lot of us are in the same boat. Nobody's out there saying I have the most perfect data, it just doesn't work. And so this is the journey that we're all on. So, up to 25% of your marketing data is just plain wrong, and that was according to Serious Decisions. And that means that every fourth lead we target either doesn't exist or is getting the wrong message, and that getting the wrong message is a big one. 88% of leads are missing basic firmographic data, and that was according to Net Prospects. So almost every lead in your database, and it means that you can't accurately target or segment your leads. And it's really bad for sales reps too. So Net Prospects found that again, those leads don't have phone numbers, which does not help any salesperson. The amount, and here's the interesting thing as well, the amount of data doubles every 12 to 18 months in the average B2B enterprise, and that was according to Serious Decisions. And the issues that are caused by your bad data are just going to get worse every day. It happens. So this is one of my favorite rules, and I forgot about this for a long time, but this was according to Serious Decisions in a report that they had, that the longer the incorrect records remain in the database, the more expensive it becomes to deal with them. In data management circles, this point is illustrated by the 1-10-100 rule. It takes $1 to verify a record as it's entered. It takes $10 to cleanse it and dedupe it once it's in there, and $100 if nothing is done, as the ramifications of those mistakes are felt over and over again. And if any of you have dealt with a dirty database, what happens is we get to a record that has issues, our brain stops, it tries to pivot because inherently we want to go clean or fix that stuff. Sometimes we have time and sometimes we don't. If we have the time, then it gets us off the path, and if we don't have time, it just drives us crazy. And I have seen that in my entire life with CRM. When it's dirty, it just stops me in my tracks. So, so here's the not so funny part. 98% of companies plan to increase their data-driven marketing in 2015. So we have nearly every company out there that's planning to rely on their data to drive marketing, and most of their data is either missing or incorrect. So there's a recipe for non-success. Or we can think about it a different way. Say you're a race car driver, and the big race is tomorrow. You have 100 cans marked with fuel, but 25% are filled with water, and the rest are partially empty. You know, how would we do? How would we rate our chances for seeing the checkered flag? And the answer is it would be really, really not possible. So here's some incomplete data challenges, and again, everybody's dealing with this. We are not in, you know, nobody's an isolated island here. So it affects all stages of the marketing and sales funnel. Low conversion rates on nurturing programs. You have ineffective lead scoring models. We have unqualified leads that get sent to sales, and we have poorly executed content personalization. We know the one thing that's very interesting about marketing is marketing has really done their scientific study by the numbers, right? We know that statistically speaking, if we can target somebody if we can have a more targeted campaign towards their persona or their role, towards their industry, towards their market, we have a better chance of success, and it gets proven out day in and day out. So if we don't have that data in our databases, to start pulling that we're looking for this industry, for these types of people very specifically, we're doing a lot of spraying and praying. And so one of the things that we're trying to really do is really be specific about what are the campaigns that you're running on. Do you have that data? When you turn a lead over to sales, and I see this all the time, I should say I used to see this all the time. So we get a lead in, the lead comes in, from a marketing standpoint, you go throw it to the side on sales, sales calls it. They're great. And then 3 weeks later, you ask the salesperson, hey, by the way, whatever happened to that lead? And I'm like, well, I called. Well, but that's not enough. We know that we have to do multiple touches, and it's hard to get sales folks to do multiple touches if they don't think they're going to win. And that makes sense, by the way. Nobody wants to waste their time. But if we can give them the data surrounding that lead and get them excited about that, it's in the right geography, right territory, right target market, right persona, then a salesperson gets more inclined to keep following up on it and mark it in their brain as this is a real potential. So that's that whole taking it from the beginning to the end. So what we know is without complete data records, achieving insight and efficiencies becomes really difficult, if not impossible. So we need good, clean fuel. Forrester Research recently found that poor data quality is the most common cause of failed adoption of both sales and marketing tools, meaning CRM is specifically what they're talking about. Users were referring to adopting the tools because they just don't trust the data. And again, I've seen that countless times. So our leads are incomplete. Even more, management starts to then, of course, lose confidence in the data since they have also recognized that it's bad. So now we're spending too much time validating or researching leads for missing data. Everyone's wasting time, productivity drops, we're missing opportunities, and the revenues take a hit, which is all bad. So we can see here, just to kind of recap the slide a little bit, so most of the leads are missing key data. So leads, they don't have the revenue data, how big is the company, right? Again, this helps us target. Is it a sweet spot for us, too big for us to go after, too small for us to care about? The leads with the employee data, do we even have the right people in our database? Leads with industry, I'll tell you specifically, that's one that really hampers a lot of companies. They'll want to say, I want to do a specific campaign to all the people in manufacturing that are the VPs of sales. Well, they can't pull all the leads with industries because they don't have that data filled in. And then, of course, we've talked about the leads with phone numbers. So, again, this is a sales and marketing working on the same thing, and if we can get all the data there, it helps marketing do better campaigns, and it helps sales qualify those leads better. So, you know, if the data is partially bad, then how are you gonna get to success without addressing that data quality and cleanliness issue? So here's the worst part. The investment that we've made in sales and marketing tools is being wasted. You know, we're driving a Ferrari, yet your poor quality watered down data as the fuel, and we're expecting 20 miles per gallon at a top speed of 215 miles, and we're getting 8 miles per gallon and topping out at 35 miles an hour. That doesn't work, right? And this is the issues that we're dealing with. Even the best race car isn't going to perform well with dirty fuel. Never. It's not going to happen. Organizations that have an early phase data strategy in place can expect roughly a 25% uplift in conversion rates between the inquiry and the marketing qualified lead stages, and that was according to Serious Decisions. So again, if we have better data, we're going to see an uplift in conversion rates. So the data fuels your campaign for success or failure. If you're starting out with bad data, your chances of success are pretty slim, especially if you're on the more modern side of marketing. Again, when we talk about using the personas, segmenting leads, and trying to really tailor your message for greater engagement. Good data provides the right fuel to power every type of campaign, obviously. So without it, look at what we can't do. So segmentation, even at the most basic segmentation level, company size, location, or industry, if you don't have the data, you're unable to connect with leads at this fundamental level. Bad data means that we're inviting leads in Pittsburgh to an event in San Francisco or offering $1 million products to mom and pop operations. So from a targeting aspect, again, even basic title data is critical to effective targeting and messaging. You don't want a message going to the executives who want to sign the check versus the frontline employees who want to win, who we want to win over. Bad title data makes it very difficult to do that. And then the last thing is personas. If you guys are in the marketing arena, hopefully you guys know what personas are, but just really quickly, a persona is the role that somebody plays. Are they a marketing executive persona? Are they a sales VP persona? What are their pains? And statistically, they all have kind of the same pain. So that's what a persona is. So think about it as roles that we used to call it, but they're now called personas. Much cooler sounding, isn't it? So personas, dirty data completely undermines any effort to accurately target those personas. While the location and title are one level, building campaigns around any type of persona is going to hinge on complete, accurate data. Bad data also prevents you from looking at your database and crafting the persona details that fit your market. If you don't know who's interested in your pitch, then how can are you going to create accurate personas? You can't. It's too hard. So, so here are some of the issues that we have. So here are the results that we're getting. You're seeing high bounce rate and weak click-through rates. Worse, it impacts the entire funnel since we can't accurately score and route the leads. And then sales blames marketing for sending too many bad leads, wasting everyone's time. So that's our first thing. With bad data, you're not only blasting the wrong targets with the wrong message, you're hurting your brand every time you do. You're offering oil changes to people without cars or strollers to people without children. At best, it's annoying. At worst, you potentially lost an opportunity worth realizing without realizing it. So kind of to say it again, it's really that data that fuels your revenue success. So here's some overall outcomes, right? So we talked about blasting the wrong targets, we've got the wrong message, we're hurting your brand, it's super annoying, and we lose these opportunities. Untargeted emails increase cost by as much as 360% over a targeted program, and that was by net prospects. So here's the goal. So here's what we're trying to do. So your goal should be to map out your rate strategy. How do you get your data to the point where it can really power your revenue-driving campaigns? It requires work and it requires planning, as do all initiatives that we're going to do. So I'm going to actually take you through how can we do this. So recognize your data deficiencies. What specific data do you need? What's missing? How would you like to segment and target? And have you created your personas? And if so, what data do you need to speak to them? So those are some of the questions that we're going to start answering. So there's 4 basic steps to data readiness. There's a foundation, there's a standardization, there's a cleansing, and an enrichment process. So I'm going to stop here really quick and see, is anybody, I'm going to check in. Does anybody have questions? Does this all make sense? Are you guys all seeing this? Let me just do this. I'll make this easier for you. Raise your hand if you guys are having data-specific issues. Sending out these campaigns, lead scoring, all of that stuff. Anybody got a raised hand? I see one. I see one. I bet there's more out there. All right, so I'm actually going to assume that everybody's having coffee and check a couple emails. So I'm going to have you, so check back in here. So here's these 4 basic steps to data readiness. So the foundation. So here's your goal. Determining the specific data fields that you need and organizing your overall data. Building the foundation means, right, that we're going to do the specific data, support your campaigns, and how do we organize this overall data. You want to ensure that all leads have the needed data fields populated. And you want to ensure that it's easy to score and route those leads to sales, but also to segment and target those leads in a very simple and logical manner, right? So that's the foundation that we want to end up with. So the next step is standardization. So once you build that foundation, you want to standardize the fields across all lead records and deduplicate those records. If you have multiple databases, join them into one, right? Got to get them all together. It's the best way to eliminate the chance of someone getting the same email from you more than once, or worse, someone getting multiple conflicting messages from you because one record says they're a product manager while the other says they're a VP of operations, okay? So 3, cleansing. So clean up the data that you do have and add in missing information where you can. This is as simple as making sure everyone who works at Ford Motor Company has that exact text string in their company name field. And it's difficult as knowing that John Doe at Ford is the same person as Jonathan Doe at Ford Motors, right? So computers can't quite tell those apart. We can. But this isn't a one and done task. It's the only way to ensure success is to continue doing periodic cleanses and dedupes at least annually. It's been proven that firms with a well-established data cleansing process see higher conversions throughout the pipeline. Okay. So, and the last step is enrichment. So enrich leads as they come in and automatically populate those fields of the new leads to increase your form completions and ensure the accuracy. So let me give you an example of what this enrichment is. If you get Michelle Horn at Inside View, right, you've got my first name, my last name, and at insideview.com. If you get that information on a lead form, it's going to sit there right? And then what else is good about that? So one of the things you can do is enrich the data, which means fill in all the missing blanks. And the missing blanks would be, how big is the company? Where's the company located? What is the industry the company's in? What is their SIC number? So, or SIC code. So all of that data comes in and helps build a very rich lead, which is now what do we do with that lead? Sometimes we may discard it. Sometimes it becomes a marketing qualified lead, and we keep pushing it forward. So Net Prospect found that companies using this data enrichment process are twice as likely to be satisfied with the contact and company level accuracy of their database. Better yet, limiting these leads to just a few data entry fields increases the conversion rate. So let's talk about that real quick. If I have a form, and in order to accurately do a lead scoring on my form, I want to know a couple of pieces of information. Certainly the who, the title, the company, a little data about the company. How big is the company? Again, what industry are they in? The more questions that I ask, the more likely that somebody will abandon that form. So if I ask 8 questions so that I can figure out how to score them, my abandonment rates of that form go up. If I can get that form down to 4 fields, I have a chance of increasing that form conversion. And so when that data is coming in, right, we're just appending and putting more data on top of that so that you can ask for the 4 fields and get a higher conversion rate. And we see companies do this every day. They will increase their conversion rate by somewhere between 10 and 30%, literally by just decreasing the number of fields they ask on their form. So that's a big deal. So again, so the whole goal is we do want to know all of the other stuff. How many know the revenue, the number of employees, the official industry, but asking for that is increasing and hurting our chances. So downstream, better and more complete data means more effective lead scoring and better prospect prioritization. This goes into sales. So sales gets a bunch of leads. Some of them are in their sweet spot. They should go after those first, and some that are not, they can go after those second and help prioritize that, which really keeps those sales teams happy, productive, and successful. And it's really about getting sales and marketing aligned on the same foot so everybody's rowing in the same direction. So inside view, so this is what we do. We provide market intelligence about your leads and your customers. We aggregate and curate that data and then deliver it to you when and where you need it. So our whole goal is really about being relevant, and connected is the best way for you to increase your chances of connecting with today's more informed and better networked and less responsive targets, right? So we're really about delivering the most complete, accurate, and relevant market intelligence so that you can put your finger on the pulse and can help guide you to the opportunities and arm you to win. So let's talk just a little bit about data. So data is very elusive, right? Data is like water. It's fluid and ever-changing. Trying to capture it is like trying to hold water in your hand. So at any given moment, a data set, even at the very best one, is like photographing a river. At the moment you take the picture, it represents reality, but literally a fraction of a second later, reality has changed. Companies expand, contract, people change positions and get new phone numbers. Every time a deal closes, their revenue increases, data goes stale, simply just because it's a moving target. And according to our good friends at Dun & Bradstreet, in the next 60 minutes, in the US alone, 148 companies will open for business. 86 companies will move to a new address. And this is the big one, 170 people will assume a new director role and above in the next hour. There are going to be 170 new positions. So back to the point, there's no such thing as perfect data, and expecting it can really lead you to disappointment. You're just trying to get close, right? You're trying to get as close as you can. But you can get data significantly more current and complete than what you have today. And it's all about having a direct impact on your bottom line. So what's the best way to evaluate this accuracy? It's really to form some reasonable judgments about whether it's good or bad. So you can ask yourself if the information is accurate enough to be actionable. Do you need an exact employee count, or is in the ballpark good enough? Do you need a direct dial phone number, knowing that it's an individual phone numbers are actually going out of style and getting harder to do, or is a general office okay? So still more quantifiable, do you still need more quantifiable measurements? So compare to that industry at large, and that's what we do. So do you need, again, the exact employee count or ballpark? Yeah, that's pretty good. Do you need, so here's one of the things that we're looking at. So Dun & Bradstreet has 200 million plus registered businesses worldwide, or I should say the world. We have 200 million plus businesses worldwide. Inside View only concentrates on the 20 million companies that matter, and what that is that's 5 employees or more. A lot of those 200 million companies are paper companies, holding companies, companies that don't have any power. We're really only concentrating on the companies that matter very specifically. So, just as putting into perspective, traditional data providers claim to have north of 240 million company records, including 80 million in the United States. And the reality, again, is only 20 million are relevant that have more than 5 employees. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there are about 13 million company establishments in the U.S., and only 6 million have 5+ employees. So that's not that many in the scheme of that number. So a leading professional network claims it has 350 million users, including 100 million in the United States. But the reality is the U.S. Census Bureau says that there's only about 115 million employees in the U.S. So the question is, does that mean everybody has a social profile? That doesn't really make sense, right? There's a lot of industries and geographies where social activity doesn't even have a pulse, and many high-level execs prefer that they don't even become accessible. So, who are those 115 million? So we don't want to sift through some fictitious stuff. So there's some additional numbers, and these are talking a little bit more about Europe, which I'm going to skip here. So what Inside View is trying to do is we have proprietary intelligence technology. We are a technical play. It's really about taking all of this data from 40,000 sources. We mash it together, and we take little pieces from every source, and we build a more complete record. And so that's what we do, and it's very scalable because it's all technology driven. So click, there we go. Boy, my click was slow. So this just talks about our accuracy. If we look about our accuracy versus a couple of other competitors, we always outdo them, again, because we have a very scalable technology as opposed to some of the other folks that we play against. So these are some results realized, and it's not so much about the people here. I just want to give you some results that that companies have realized from having better data. So more leads are being enriched. They have a higher inquiry to opportunity rate, and they spend a lot less time on unqualified leads, right? Sometimes disqualify them fast so that you can get on to the people that matter. And this was a specific company, a marketing company. They saw a big increase in marketing MQL leads from the web forms, reduction in cost per lead, and a higher sales accepted leads. So here's kind of a summary. So a quarter of your lead data is probably wrong. Nearly every contact record that you have is probably missing some kind of key information. Everyone's planning on doing data-driven marketing this year, and that will only continue to increase. And so in the race against the competition to find and engage with more leads, the question is your bad data going to cause your revenue campaigns to crash and burn? And so that's kind of the summary of today, which is get your data in order, and then it will really help you push both that sales and marketing envelope that we're all trying to do. So I'm going to open it up to questions. Anybody have some questions?
I think we're all set, Michelle. I don't see any questions coming through. I appreciate it. It was a great presentation, and definitely some enlightening info on the data as well. I hope that everyone had some, several takeaways from today's webinar. And I do want to remind you that we're going to send the recorded version out of today's webinar, so watch for that in your email inbox later this afternoon. And I also invite everyone to visit ledgerviewpartners.com so you can learn about a lot of the upcoming live events, webinars, and access to all our on-demand videos as well. You can also follow us on social media and subscribe to our blog, all from our website as well. So finally, if you have any additional questions on Inside Viewer or would like a full demonstration, need assistance, or are looking to expand your CRM functionality, just give us a call here at LedgeView. And the only thing better than long-term relationships is meeting someone new and starting a new one. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today, and have an amazing day.